Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe and support me. Under the shimmering lights of New York City, Evan Walker sat in his sleek corner office, the floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the bustling streets below. At 27, he was a creative director at one of the top advertising firms, a position many of his peers envied. Dressed in a tailored suit, his appearance exuded confidence and success. Yet, as he stared at the flashing cursor on his computer screen, a profound sense of emptiness washed over him. Earlier that day, Evan had led a pitch that secured a multi-million-dollar deal with a high-profile client. The boardroom erupted in applause, colleagues patted him on the back, and his boss hinted at a promotion. But amid the celebration, Evan felt detached, as if he were watching someone else's life unfold. The accolades that once thrilled him now felt hollow. As evening approached, Evan decided to work late, hoping to reignite the passion he once had for his career. The office gradually emptied, the hum of conversations fading until only the soft glow of desk lamps remained. He glanced at the photos lining his desk with snapshots of exotic vacations, awards ceremonies, and smiling faces at corporate events. They depicted a life of fulfillment, yet none of them stirred any real emotion within him. Feeling restless, Evan shut down his computer and grabbed his coat. The elevator ride to the lobby was silent, the mirrored walls reflecting his contemplative gaze. Stepping out into the cool night air, he decided to take the subway home, a departure from his usual car service. Maybe blending into the anonymity of the city's underground would offer some solace. On the platform, the usual mix of commuters waited: business people scrolling through their phones, couples whispering softly, artists clutching instrument cases. As the train arrived, Evan boarded and found a seat near a corner. Moments later, a man entered the car carrying a worn guitar. His clothes were tattered, his face etched with lines that hinted at countless stories. Without introduction, the man began to play. The melody was hauntingly beautiful, each note resonating with a raw sincerity that cut through the ambient noise of the train. Conversations hushed, and eyes turned toward the musician. Evan felt a lump in his throat as the music stirred something deep within him: a longing, a question, an unnameable emotion that he couldn't ignore. When the song ended, a gentle applause rippled through the car. Evan reached into his wallet and pulled out a $50 bill, placing it gently into the musician's open guitar case. Their eyes met briefly, and the man nodded in silent gratitude. As the train pulled into the next station, Evan stood to exit, a lingering sense of unrest following him onto the platform. That night, sleep eluded him. Lying in bed, he replayed the melody in his mind, the notes intertwining with his thoughts. What was it about that song that affected him so profoundly? Why did his accomplishments feel so insignificant in comparison to the genuine expression of a stranger's music? The following morning, Evan awoke with a determination to explore these feelings. He visited a local bookstore and wandered through the aisles until a title caught his eye: The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He'd heard colleagues mention it in passing but had never considered himself the type to read self-help or spiritual books. Still, something compelled him to purchase it. Over lunch at a quiet cafe tilde copyright, Evan began to read. The concepts were both foreign and familiar: a discussion of presence, consciousness, and the traps of the ego. Each page seemed to peel back layers he'd unknowingly built around himself. Hours passed unnoticed as he delved deeper into the text. Eager to experience some of the practices described, Evan searched for meditation classes in the city. He signed up for a beginner's session held in a loft downtown. That evening, he joined a small group seated on cushions in a dimly lit room scented with incense. The instructor guided them through breathing exercises, encouraging participants to let go of their thoughts and focus on the present moment. But Evan's mind refused to cooperate. Thoughts raced relentlessly: upcoming deadlines, client meetings, the unanswered emails piling up in his inbox. Frustrated, he opened his eyes to find others sitting peacefully, seemingly at ease. The juxtaposition heightened his sense of inadequacy. After the session, The instructor approached him. "First time meditating?" she asked kindly. "Is it that obvious?" Evan replied with a sheepish smile. "Don't be too hard on yourself. It's a practice, not a perfection. Sometimes the city makes it harder to find stillness." He nodded, appreciating her words but still feeling unsettled. As he walked back to his apartment, the noise of the city seemed amplified at the honking cars, the chatter of pedestrians, the sirens wailing in the distance. The concrete jungle felt oppressive, its towering structures closing in on him. Over the next few days, Evan tried various mindfulness apps, attended yoga classes, and even attempted to meditate on his own, but nothing seemed to penetrate the barrier between his restless mind and the peace he sought. One evening, after a particularly stressful day at work, he sat alone on his balcony, gazing at the city skyline. The lights flickered like stars, yet he felt no connection to the beauty before him. Reaching a breaking point, Evan decided he needed a drastic change. The following morning, he walked into his manager's office. "I need to take some time off," he announced. His manager looked up in surprise. "Is everything all right? You're in line for a major promotion." I need to step away for a while. Clear my head." "How long are we talking?" "I'm not sure. A few weeks, maybe longer." The manager leaned back in his chair, concern etched on his face. "Evan, you're one of our top talents. I don't want to lose you." "I appreciate that, but I need to do this." After a lengthy discussion, they agreed on an indefinite leave of absence. Word spread quickly among his colleagues. Some admired his courage, others whispered that he was throwing away his career. His parents were baffled when he told them over dinner. "You're leaving your job, just like that?" his mother asked, her fork suspended midair. "It's not permanent. I just need some time," Evan replied. His father shook his head. "In this economy, people would kill for your position." "I know, Dad, but I can't keep going like this." They exchanged worried glances but didn't press further. That weekend, Evan packed a suitcase with essentials, booked a flight to Denver, and from there, rented a car to drive into the heart of the Rocky Mountains. He had no concrete plan, just a desire to escape the confines of the city and immerse himself in nature. He arrived in Silver Ridge, a quaint town nestled among towering peaks and dense forests. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and earth. Evan rented a small cabin on the outskirts, its rustic charm a welcome contrast to his sterile apartment back home. The first few days were spent adjusting to this slower pace of life. Without the constant barrage of emails and phone calls, he felt untethered, unsure of how to fill his time. He took long walks along winding trails, the silence of the forest both eerie and soothing. At night, he sat by the fireplace, reading or simply staring into the dancing flames. One morning, while hiking along a riverbank, Evan spotted an elderly man sitting on a fallen log, whittling a piece of wood. The man wore a worn flannel shirt and a wide-brimmed hat, his silver beard contrasting sharply with his tanned skin. "Morning," the man greeted without looking up. "Good morning," Evan replied. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" "Every day is beautiful if you choose to see it that way." Evan paused, intrigued by the comment. "I suppose that's true." The man glanced up, his blue eyes sharp yet kind. "City folk, huh? Is it that obvious?" The man chuckled. "You have the look of someone searching for something." Evan considered this. "Maybe I am." "Name's Samuel," the man said, extending a calloused hand. "Evan." They shook hands, and Samuel patted the log beside him. "Care to sit for a spell?" Evan agreed, and they fell into easy conversation. Samuel spoke of the land, the changing seasons, the wildlife that roamed the forests. He had lived in Silver Ridge his entire life, content with the simplicity it offered. "Nature has a way of revealing truths," Samuel mused. "If you're willing to listen." "I've been trying to find some peace," Evan admitted. "But my mind won't quiet down." "That's because you're trying too hard." "Let go of the need to control, and you'll find what you're looking for." Over the next few weeks, Evan spent more time with Samuel. They hiked to hidden waterfalls, fished in clear lakes, and sat under the stars discussing life and philosophy. Samuel taught him to identify bird calls, to track animals, to appreciate the interconnectedness of all living things. Evan began practicing meditation outdoors, the sounds of nature providing a soothing backdrop. Gradually, he felt the tension in his body ease, his thoughts slowing to a manageable pace. The anxieties that once plagued him seemed distant, replaced by a quiet contentment. One afternoon, Samuel invited Evan to a gathering at a nearby meadow. "It's a community event," he explained, "a chance to celebrate the harvest and connect with others." Evan agreed, eager to engage with more people in the area. When they arrived, he was introduced to Lily, a woman in her mid-30s who ran a local herbal shop. Her eyes were a striking green, her smile warm and inviting. "So you're the city guy Samuel's been talking about?" Lily teased. "Guilty as charged," Evan replied with a grin. They spent the evening chatting about her work with plants and natural remedies. Lily's passion was infectious as she described the healing properties of various herbs and how she sourced them sustainably from the surrounding land. "Would you like to visit my shop?" she offered. "I can show you some things that might help with relaxation and sleep." "I'd love that," Evan said. The next day, Evan visited Lily's shop, a cozy space filled with the rich aromas of dried flowers and spices. She showed him teas and tinctures, explaining their uses. He purchased a few items and thanked her for her time. "Remember," she said as he left, "healing is as much about the mind as it is about the body." Evan incorporated the herbal remedies into his routine, finding that they complemented his meditation practices. His sleep improved, and he woke each day with a clearer mind. Despite the progress, there were moments when doubts surfaced. He questioned the sustainability of this new lifestyle. Was he merely escaping responsibilities? What would happen when he returned to the city? One evening, over dinner at Samuel's cabin, Evan voiced his concerns. "It's natural to feel uncertain," Samuel said. "Growth often comes with discomfort." "But I can't stay here forever," Evan sighed. "Eventually, I'll have to go back." "Perhaps. But the lessons you've learned won't disappear. They're a part of you now." Samuel then mentioned an upcoming ceremony hosted by a local indigenous tribe. "They've invited us to participate." "It's a rare honor." "What kind of ceremony?" Evan asked. "A purification ritual. It can be a profound experience if you're open to it." Evan agreed to attend, curious about the opportunity. On the day of the ceremony, they traveled deep into the forest to a clearing where a large sweat lodge had been constructed. The tribe's elders welcomed them respectfully. Before entering, they were smudged with sage smoke, a cleansing ritual to purify the spirit. Inside the lodge, the heat was intense, generated by heated stones placed in the center. As the door was closed, darkness enveloped them. The air thickened with steam as water was poured over the stones. Chants and prayers filled the space, their rhythmic cadence inducing a trance-like state. Evan felt layers of his psyche peel away. Visions flashed before him of childhood memories, moments of joy, instances of pain he'd buried deep. Emotions surged, and tears flowed freely. He confronted fears and regrets, acknowledging them without judgment. When the ceremony concluded, he emerged from the lodge, the cool night air a stark contrast to the heat within. The sky was ablaze with stars, more vivid than he'd ever seen. Evan felt a profound sense of release, as if a weight had been lifted from his soul. In the days that followed, he dedicated himself to introspection. He began journaling, documenting his thoughts and experiences. Writing became a therapeutic outlet, allowing him to process emotions and gain clarity. Evan reached out to his parents, initiating a candid conversation about his feelings. He expressed gratitude for their support and apologized for any misunderstandings. They listened, relieved to hear from him, and shared their own concerns and hopes. The dialogue opened a new chapter in their relationship, built on mutual understanding. With a renewed sense of purpose, Evan contemplated his next steps. He realized that his journey was not about abandoning his past but integrating his newfound insights into his life. He decided to return to New York, not as the person who left but as someone transformed. Back in the city, Evan noticed details he'd previously overlooked: the architecture's grandeur, the diversity of people, the pockets of greenery amid the concrete. The noise no longer felt oppressive but part of a vibrant tapestry. At the office, his colleagues were surprised by his return. His manager welcomed him back, noting a visible change in his demeanor. "You seem different," she observed. "In a good way." Evan smiled. "I feel different." Resuming his role, he approached work with a fresh perspective. He focused on projects that align with his values, emphasizing authenticity and social responsibility. His creativity flourished, and he collaborated more openly with his team. Noticing the stress levels in the office, Evan proposed starting a weekly meditation group during lunch breaks. Management was skeptical but agreed to a trial. The sessions attracted a small group initially, but attendance grew as word spread about the benefits. Colleagues thanked him for creating a space where they could decompress. Some shared personal challenges, finding solace in the supportive environment. Evan realized that by helping others, he was also reinforcing his own growth. Outside of work, he volunteered with organizations focused on mental health and environmental conservation. He participated in community cleanups, fundraisers, and educational workshops. His circle of friends expanded to include people who shared his commitment to making a positive impact. One weekend, while attending a charity event, Evan reconnected with Lily, who was visiting the city to promote her herbal products. They caught up over coffee, exchanging stories about their respective endeavors. "I'm impressed with all you've accomplished," she said. "You're really bringing change to your community." "It's a team effort," Evan replied. "But it feels good to contribute." They stayed in touch, their friendship deepening over time. Lily's visits became more frequent, and they explored the city together, finding hidden gems and sharing meaningful conversations. As the months passed, Evan felt a pull to continue his personal exploration. The world was vast, and there was so much more to learn. He contemplated traveling abroad to study different cultures and spiritual practices. Discussing his thoughts with Lily, she encouraged him. "Growth is a lifelong journey," she said. "If you feel called to explore, you should." Evan decided to plan a trip to India and Nepal, places rich with spiritual heritage. Before departing, he organized a farewell gathering with friends and family. The evening was filled with laughter, heartfelt toasts, and expressions of gratitude. His parents, once apprehensive about his choices, now embraced his path. "We're proud of you," his father said, shaking his hand firmly. "Take care of yourself," his mother added, hugging him tightly. At the airport, Lily came to see him off. "Stay in touch," she said, her eyes reflecting a mix of happiness and wistfulness. "Always," Evan promised. The journey to India was both exhilarating and daunting. He arrived in Delhi, immersing himself in the vibrant culture. The city's energy was intense, but he navigated it with a calmness he'd cultivated. Traveling to Varanasi, one of the oldest inhabited cities in the world, Evan witnessed the sacred rituals along the Ganges River. The devotion of the people, the mingling of life and death, left a profound impression on him. He joined a meditation retreat in Dharamshala, home to the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan government in exile. The teachings on compassion and mindfulness resonated deeply. Engaging with monks and fellow travelers, he expanded his understanding of interconnectedness. In Nepal, Evan trekked through the Annapurna circuit, marveling at the majestic Himalayan peaks. The physical challenge pushed his limits, but the serenity of the mountains provided a backdrop for reflection. At a monastery in Pokhara, he participated in silent retreats, further honing his meditation practice. The simplicity of monastic life stripped away distractions, allowing him to delve deeper into self-awareness. Throughout his travels, Evan maintained contact with his community back home. He shared insights and experiences through a blog, inspiring others to explore their own paths. After months abroad, he returned to the United States with a wealth of knowledge and a heart full of gratitude. He settled in Portland, Oregon, drawn by its natural beauty and progressive culture. There, he established a wellness center called Inner Horizons, offering programs that integrated mindfulness, holistic health, and community engagement. The center became a haven for those seeking balance and connection. Evan collaborated with local schools to introduce mindfulness practices to students, believing that early exposure could foster resilience and empathy. He also organized workshops on sustainable living, promoting harmony with the environment. His efforts attracted attention, leading to speaking engagements and media features. Yet, he remained humble, emphasizing that he was merely a facilitator of collective growth. One day, while hosting a retreat, Evan re-encountered Maya, a woman he'd briefly met during his travels. She was a social worker passionate about community development. They discovered a shared vision and began working together on projects. Their partnership blossomed into a romantic relationship, built on mutual respect and a deep understanding of each other's values. Together, they expanded the center's outreach, impacting more lives. As years passed, Evan reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point. From the restless nights in New York to the transformative experiences abroad, each step had been integral to his evolution. Surrounded by a supportive community, fulfilling work, and a loving partner, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Yet, he knew that the journey of self-discovery was ongoing. One evening, watching the sunset over the Pacific Ocean, Evan contemplated the future. He envisioned expanding the center's programs, traveling to new places, and continuing to learn. Turning to Maya, he said, "There's so much more we can do." She smiled, taking his hand. "And we'll do it together." Evan nodded, embracing the endless possibilities. The path ahead was unwritten, but he was confident in navigating it with authenticity and purpose. In the quiet moments, he often thought back to the subway musician whose song had ignited his quest. The melody still echoed in his mind, a reminder of the power of genuine expression. Evan decided to seek out the musician, hoping to express his gratitude. After some effort, he found him performing at a small park. Approaching, Evan said, "Your music changed my life." The musician looked up, recognition dawning. "I remember you." They sat together, sharing stories. Evan offered support, helping the musician connect with broader audiences. Their collaboration highlighted the impact of creativity and compassion. As the days unfolded, Evan continued to embrace the journey not as a destination but as a continuous process of growth, connection, and contribution. His story became an inspiration to many, demonstrating that true fulfillment comes from within and flourishes when shared with others.